Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be talking about how the Washington Commanders are likely making some major changes on the offensive line. Also be going over a new hire they made to the front office. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well. Help out a fellow Commanders fan. Any of those things really help out a ton. It takes a couple seconds. It's no secret the Washington Commanders offensive line has been a major issue for the Commanders. Obviously Sam Howell's taken a lot of sacks that are his fault, but the offensive line is to blame as well, and so is Eric Bieniemy. All those combined, but some changes are going to be made this week, some because of performance, some because of injury. Ron Rivera had enough after the Giants game where the offense scored 7 points, and all those points came off of a turnover by the Giants in their own, red zone. So yeah, some changes are going to be made. So let's see. Rivera was asked earlier this week if we'll make any changes to the O-line. He says we're looking at a lot of things right now, just a lot of things that we're looking at and talking about. Classic Ron Rivera answer, but he didn't say that we're not going to make changes. Like, when they ask about Hal, he says no, he's our quarterback, stuff like that. So he's at least saying, giving a little bit of a possibility that that it's happening. And then also, Sadiq Charles is injured. He injured his calf in the game, not a surprise. And so that will be at least one change. I would be really surprised if he played this week. So my prediction is Sadiq Charles is out. So they'll probably have to play Ricky Stromberg or Chris Paul. Ricky Stromberg has been the guy that has went in for, Sadiq Charles or Sam Cosmi when they have been injured this year. Sam Cosmi was out, earlier in the year, a few plays, in two different games, and Ricky Stromberg went in and played. And then last week against the Giants, Ricky went in for Sadiq when he went down. So unless they really didn't like the tape and they don't feel good about what Ricky can do this week, they'll play him. If not, it'll be Chris Paul. But that'll be one change on the offensive line. And then the other change is putting Tyler Larsen as our starting center. Nick Gates has not been good, honestly. He has not. I like his personality. He defends his teammates, and he's fiery, but it's not been great, man. He honestly hasn't been giving up a lot of sacks and pressures. I mean, no one's been great, but he definitely hasn't been great. And you can see here today in practice, he was snapping to Jacoby Brissett, and Tyler Larsen was the one who was snapping to Sam Howell. So interesting right there. Does it mean guarantee that they're going to make the change? No, but John Keim in the thread says this is your indication of changes along the offensive line. He said it right there. So there's definitely a possibility. Larsen is the starting center this week. Probably more than a possibility. It's likely he is a starting center, and he's been good for us. And that's why I really never liked the Nick Gates signing, because you're paying this guy $4 or $5 million a year. He's been, he's had major injuries, and he, hasn't been, even before he got injured, he wasn't amazing. And you're giving him a decent amount of money. I just really never liked the signing. I think they could have done other things. I was thinking that maybe they would keep Roulier, but obviously the injury was too much. But they could have just, brought back Tyler Larsen and then drafted someone like they did with Ricky, or maybe in that case, drafted someone a little bit earlier. They didn't do that. That's fine. But Nick Gates has not been great this year, so they're likely making a change. Larsen, he also deals with injury issues, so there could be a carousel here of centers. But the Commanders went 6-1-1 with Larsen at center last year, and in the year before too, I think they did well with Tyler Larsen as their center as well. The problem is, both seasons he had season-ending injuries. So I'll be fine with him starting, but that's just something you got to consider. He could be out after a few weeks. I hope it doesn't happen, but it has been a trend with him. I mean, you see, still has a knee brace on that right knee or right leg right there. It's just unfortunate situation there with the injuries, but looks like he'll be the starting center. Again, he's not amazing, but he's solid. He's a veteran. He knows what to expect. And I don't think he wasn't in the game with Hal last year. He might have snapped with him a little bit because Chase Roulier was a starting center, and maybe Hal got some backup reps last year at some point. So Hal probably got some reps with Larsen last year, and now is getting some reps as well. So that's good for him because you don't want, you need that communication between the center and the quarterback to be good. So it's just a good thing for that communication to be down. And real quick, a word from today's sponsor.
BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything, anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
Again, make sure you guys check out BetUS. Link in the description to get 125% first-time deposit match. And there's Thursday Night Football today you can bet on and other stuff as well. Back to the video. So that's kind of it on the offensive line moves. I honestly don't think this is going to make a major difference. I think Larson can be, a little bit better than Nick Gates has been. I don't know if Stromberg / Chris Paul will be better than what Sadiq Charles has been. Sadiq's been up and down, good in the run game, not great at pass blocking. The offensive line's just not a good spot. I think what you could do is maybe you could switch Wyatt, like someone even said right here, Wiley at left guard. He was better at guard than he was at tackle. I thought when they signed him, he would be at right guard and then Cosme at right tackle. I think that would have been a way better solution to their problem than putting Wiley at right tackle. It is what it is. They can't go really back on their decision, but they can make a change right now. And what they could have at their offensive line could be something like Leno at left tackle, and then, Wiley at right guard, and then, Stromberg or Larson or Gates at center, Cosme at right guard, and then Lucas at right tackle. But they probably won't make that change. 3 changes is a lot, but it is what it is. So now on to the hire that they made. So let's go to Seth Walder first and then Adam Schefter. The Commanders are hiring Eugene Shen as their senior Vice President of Football Strategy. Shen is an analytics veteran who's worked for the Ravens, Dolphins, and Jaguars. He was the VP of Football Analytics in Jacksonville. He left the Jaguars in 2022 to work in finance. He'll oversee all analytics and software development on the football side. And yeah, man, I think this is good news. I think it's good news. Great to bring in an analytics person. We know Ron Rivera's decisions have been questionable. And bringing someone that's innovating, you look at the teams that he's worked with, Ravens, Dolphins, and Jaguars, all those teams right now are very successful and are kind of innovative teams. Sometimes you're going to disagree with their decisions, for sure. But they have numbers to back it up. And as long as you also use other contexts, to make your decisions with analytics, I think that is the best way to do it. And again, these 3 teams, Jaguars, Dolphins, and Ravens, are in really good spots. They're all contenders in the AFC. So I'm happy they're doing this. And hey, next year, they're going to be bringing a lot of new people. This is just the start. They're revamping the front office and hopefully as well the coaching staff. There's almost no shot Ron Rivera's back here, guys. There's just really close to nothing that he is back, and then also the front office is back. So this offseason is going to be huge. If, let's say after the year's over, I don't even really think they're going to think about it much because they've had time to make their decision. They probably already have, some like Josh Harris and, the other owners probably have something in place. Like, okay, if he wins a playoff game or 2, then we're going to make a decision. We're going to think about it. But if not, if he doesn't make the playoffs, it's automatically we're firing him. And I don't really think they even need to make a decision, think about it. Just make that decision right away. And then they'll take a little bit of time, find that GM, maybe during the playoffs or something. I don't know, because they made a rule about hiring coaches during the playoffs that you can't until after it's over. So or at least until they're eliminated. So I'm wondering about GMs if it's the same thing. Probably not, because they don't actually have to prepare like a coach does. But we'll probably hire a coach or a GM during the playoffs, and then after the playoffs are over, or maybe even before, if our coach is not in the playoffs, let that guy, we'll let the GM hire that head coach. I think that's the best way to do it. And then after that, Josh Harris will let his football people do what they need to do. Don't need this coach-centric approach that's been happening for the last 4 years in Washington. Let's bring a young and innovative, mind to be our GM, and maybe even president, and then he'll bring in that coach. And then start the rebuild from there if they want to rebuild. If maybe they feel like this roster is good enough to where they just made a couple changes in there in the playoffs. If not, if they want to rebuild, like, I'm trusting this new front office until they prove to me that they can't be trusted. And this is when we really can start to, like, move past the Dan Snyder era, because, everyone who's hired right now is, from basically the Dan Snyder era. So that is it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new. Check out BetUS, link in the description. Peace, guys.